Okay, Brother Leroy.
Okay, this is the Wisdom Table, May 17th, 2020, coming to you from the Grand Houses Development in Harlem, USA. We're thankful to the Most High for blessing us with the opportunity to be with you, you to be with us. And we continue our series on the COVID-19, goes by various names, but COVID, SARS, etc. And we have with us a guest today who is a medical doctor. He has 3 specialties, and he also is a unique researcher in terms of not only the medical field, the health field, but also current events. So we're going to cover a number of areas during the course of our interview. Before we get into the interview, we want to thank the Most High for blessing us with the opportunity to be on this radio station, independent radio station, coming to you from Grand Houses. Thankful to the development, the Tenant Association, for allowing us the opportunity to have a radio station here. It's their radio station, have a program here. This program does not reflect the views, attitudes, whims, deeds, or any other proclivities of the Tenant Association for the Grand Houses, nor does the opinions shared here or the insights shared here reflect on the management of the Nyc property. However, the program does reflect the research done by our participants, and that includes you. Whatever you hear on this program, you are duty bound to yourself to research it. If you find something in error, come back, let us know. Our guest today is a young man who has been practicing in not only in Harlem, USA, but also on 3 different continents. And we mentioned just a few minutes ago, he has a wealth of research that he's done that we should benefit from today. His name is Dr. Arthur Lewis. And the program today, the topic lead-in is COVID-19 and your eyes, because one of the specialties is ophthalmology. Dr. Arthur Lewis, thank you for joining us on the Wisdom Table.
Okay, thank you for having me. I would like to extend my appreciation to your organization and all of the other support mechanisms that make it possible for you to broadcast and to allow me to talk to the global African community and the global community. So I would like to extend that appreciation. What I'd like to begin with is to give a profile, a brief profile of who I am. My name is Dr. Arthur Lewis, and I'm an MD. I've been a medical doctor practicing primarily in New York City. I've been a medical doctor for 47 years. I have training in surgery, ophthalmology, emergency medicine, and holistic medicine as my specialties. I'm an African American. I'm 76 years of age. I've been married to an African woman for 52 years. We have 5 children, 7 grandchildren, and I live in New York City. So I wanted to just mention that, so to give a profile so you know who I am and who's speaking to you. Now, as far as the corona COVID virus 19, I'm not coming to you as an expert on that virus, and I'm not coming to you as an expert on what they call the field of virology. What I wanted to concentrate on broadly, even though we know the coronavirus can enter the body through the eye, I wanted to divide this hour that I have with you time into 2 portions. The first portion, I want to deal with the human body immune system. And the purpose of that is because we know that it's your immune system that is the primary area of the body that keeps you alive and healthy and protects you from your viruses and your bacteria and all other germs that come from the outside that can harm you. So I'd like to deal with the immune system. I'm going to briefly explain what it is. We're going to also deal with what lifestyle that we practice can strengthen the immune system and what lifestyle that we practice can weaken the immune system. Followed by dealing with some basic information on a corona or coronavirus 19, but I wanted to put it in context with a larger viral information system that you have to get. So we're going to now deal with the immune system, and we're going to deal with what strengthens it and what can weaken it. After we finish with that presentation, I'm going to deal specifically with the virus, and I'm going to focus in on the CDC documentation that is posted on the coronavirus 19 and the CDC documentation that is focused on the flu vaccine. I'm going to give you two references that you can look up. So as we go along, we need to have a pencil and paper or pen and paper. And I'm going to quote you an article about viruses done by researchers globally recently with the website, so you can check it. And I'm going to give you the documentation on the website that you must check, as initially with the CDC, as it relates to the coronavirus 19 and the flu epidemic. The immune system is a system in a human being, as in other animals, is a system by which the body has cells and antibiotics, chemicals that are in the body prepared to protect you from infections from any kind of foreign body or foreign living entity that enters the body. So the immune system will help you and needs to be strengthened to protect you from bacteria, virus, fungus, mold, and many other living things that you may inhale. So it's a general system in the body composed of cells and composed of antibodies that are produced by these cells to protect you and kill you. Now, let me just give you a quick overview. The immune system comprises all of the mucous membranes throughout your entire body. That would be your nose, your mouth, your tonsils, your stomach, your small intestines, and your large intestines. Each of these organ systems that I mentioned have cells in the body we call white blood cells, T killer cells, that are positioned to attack. We're going to deal with the virus in this case, to attack the virus, and in many different ways to attempt to neutralize the virus. So the foreign body, the virus, will enter the body through three entrances in your body: through the nose, because we're dealing with the virus; through your mouth, because we're breathing in air; and also viruses and other into the body through your digestive system. So what is the mucous system? It's your nose, your mouth, your throat, your tonsils, and your bronchial system in your lung. Again, emphasizing all through those systems are millions and millions of cells that attack the virus, that will produce antibodies to protect you from the virus. Also, the mucous membrane of the nose, the mouth, the tonsils. What is it that we inhale when we breathe in and out? We inhale the air, or the quality of the air in a particular area. So in terms of living things that can harm us, we're breathing in and out bacteria, virus, mold, fungus, and parasite. You have positioned throughout the body white blood cells, leukocytes, neutrophils, and T killer cells producing antibodies to fight off these invaders that come in. Now, let me name the systems so you can begin to do research and check. Let me name the systems that we recognize that comprise the immune system, that system of cells and systems of chemical antibodies to protect you. That would be your adenoids, which is a type of tissue in the back of the throat, your tonsils. There's a gland called the Thymus Gland in your chest. The spleen is an organ that's in your left lower quadrant, your kidney, your liver, your intestines, your appendix, your bone marrow, and your lymph nodes. So your immune system, which comprised that collection of billions of cells, that protect you like the white blood cells that produce antibiotics. These cells are in each of these organs stationed to help you. And that's why you list all of these as the immune system. And they all contribute to fighting off bacteria and virus. What we know in medicine and science, that of what we call your entire immune system, that is there stationed to protect you, 80 to 85% of your immune system is concentrated in your intestinal tract, primarily the small intestines and the large intestine. Then you would say, well, why there? Because the way nature, God, or whatever you want to say, has produced us as animals is that most of the foreign bodies, most of the bacteria, virus, fungus that will come in to harm us will come through your digestive system when you eat. So you are inhaling the virus through your nose and your mouth, but you're also getting the virus and other bacteria through the food that you eat. So 80% of your immune system, the cells and the chemistry that kill the virus and other things, is in your intestinal tract, primarily your large and small intestine, your large, and your appendix. The stomach also helps in your immune system in that when you eat food or when you ingest bacteria, virus, the hydrochloric acid is powerful enough to kill up to 90% of our viruses and bacteria and fungus that enter your food. So that's another protective system there. The immune system, the way I structure it, has 4 components to it. I call these 4 components those tenets or things we must do to keep ourselves healthy maximally. But in this case, we're going to hone in on your immune system. But what we say refers to keeping all of the systems together. Remember, your immune system is all of the systems that I name and others working in a coordinate manner, biochemically, in other ways, electromagnetically, to keep you healthy. So immune system strengthening it isn't, well, I'm gonna take a pill here, it's total body health. So what are some of the things that I list that can strengthen the immune system? I put together a chart. There are 5 things that are necessary for good health. But in this case, for a good, strong immune system. 1 is mental. Stress is one of the biggest components of bringing down your health and reducing your immune system, because stress can suppress your cells and the chemistry that protect you. So you must have a good mental status. The least stress, the better you are off with your health and your immune system. Sleep. Sleep is critical. Whatever it is, 4 hours, 6 hours for your body. Why sleep is critical? Because sleeping gives the body an opportunity to cut down its metabolism or biochemistry, to detoxify the body from the toxins that you have taken in and the toxins that are produced within to cleanse the body. So you must have adequate sleep, whatever that is. If you go 3 days without adequate sleep continuously, the brain can start hallucinating. So mental is very important. Sleep is. Another third factor that's critical to strengthening your health and your immune system is nutrition. We find that an organic, means without the pesticides, plant-based diet is probably the most important diet you can have in order to strengthen your health and your immune system. Now, when we say organic, means you don't want any pesticides or any kind of chemicals to enter your body. And when we say plant-based, we talk in the full spectrum of what comes off a plant. That's all your vegetables, that's your fruits, that's your nuts and seeds, and your herbs. Why the vegetables are critical? Because the vegetables is the only food substance that you will take in that's going to allow the body to have what it needs to be optimally healthy. It's going to provide carbohydrates for energy, fat for energy and structure, protein for your enzymes and structure. Fruits will provide also the necessary minerals you need for your biochemistry. It will provide the vitamins you will need for your biochemistry. It will provide the enzymes you will need for your biochemistry. It will also provide the fiber, which is that plant-based material, which is critical for your health. And it will also provide phytonutrients. Phytonutrients, phyto means plant, and nutrients mean the plant makes thousands of different chemicals that it uses to protect itself from the viruses, the bacteria, and the insects. And those phytonutrients or chemicals that the plants make, we eat them. And with those chemicals that the plants use to protect itself, we take it in. And those phytonutrients or chemicals help us to protect the body against bacteria and viruses, just like the plants did. Next is fruits. Fruits also provide vital nutrients. Nuts and seeds are very important. I use that as my third category because it provides the fiber and the oils you need. And herbs are critical, like garlic, turmeric, and ginger, because they produce thousands of types of chemicals that into your body. And these chemicals have certain effects on the body that we know. They're anti-inflammatory, antivirus, like garlic, turmeric, ginger. They're anti-inflammatory, they're antibacterial, they're antivirus. They reduce your blood pressure. They thin your blood. They chelate your blood. They are blood antibodies. They enter your tissues and they cleanse the body of these viruses. Exercise is critical. Number 4, why? Because the exercise allows you to inhale greater amount of oxygen that keeps the body biochemistry function at optimum. Second, you need the muscular movement to move around the blood circulation to the body. And you need the muscular movement to move around a type of a system, a drainage system we have in our body called your lymphatics. That drains all of the dead material coming back from the cells, and that is cleaning out the system. That's why exercise is very important. The fifth thing that I indicate is education. Education is critical, as we just spoke about, because it allows you to get information on how you're going to treat your body. So once when you get the education and information, you go into your second phase of protecting yourself. You make the necessary changes that you feel is necessary to increase your immune system and your health. But the third thing you must do is when you decide that that's what you're going to do, the lifestyle change, you must do it on a consistent basis. I use the air, AIR, as an example of why it's important in terms of education. When you breathe in air, you now understand you're breathing in viruses because we're dealing with the coronavirus. You're breathing in hundreds, if not thousands, of viral particles every second, every day. And you're breathing in with those viruses, bacteria, pollution, because all of that contributes to your immune system. So just understand, even though we're dealing with the coronavirus, number 19 or whatever number, you are breathing in hundreds of various types of viruses there continuously during the flu season, during the epidemic season, and those seasons that are not epidemic at this particular point. When it comes to public health, there are 3 things that we use as a gauge for public health that relate to your immune system and your body. 1, the water. If you go to any country and or to the United States and you want to know how strong your health can be or how strong your immune system, you examine the air. If you're living in the cities, the air is very polluted. So polluted air pushes down your immune system and your health. What do we breathe in? We breathe in viruses, bacteria. We breathe in carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. We breathe in lead if we live in the city. Now, that's the air. Let's go to the water. In the United States, most of the water systems, public, are polluted with all kinds of runoff from farms, pesticides, toxins. So your water generally in the United States, you can check it, is polluted. A water filter will help you. So that will bring down your immune system. And then we get to the food that we eat. We eat food that is pesticides on it, toxins on it. That brings down your immune system. So those lifestyle changes that will strengthen your immune system and strengthen your body is what we just mentioned. Now let us mention what could possibly weaken your immune system. Let's concentrate. We said about pollution in the water, pollution in the air, and pollution in what would weaken. Let's get to what we eat. If you are eating a meat-based diet, what I define as a meat-based diet, and maybe others, is meat, animal meat, milk primarily from cows in this particular case, because that's liquid meat, processed foods, and doctor's prescription. I'll deal with the doctor's prescription quickly. We all know about the doctor's prescription, which are helpful, but many are not helpful. That can bring down your immune system. Included in the meat-based diet that can weaken your immune system and weaken your health is medical prescriptions. Another more fundamental weakening of what we eat is meat, all animal meat. When you eat animal meat, you're eating the animal's estrogen, growth hormone, steroids. We're eating the animal if they are fed pesticides, they're fed antibiotics. And we all know about the recalls we have about bacteria, E. coli this and E. coli that. So understand that meat has a hazard to your health and it has a hazard to your immune system because of what you are ingesting. As far as milk is concerned, milk is just liquid meat. So my understanding and my position is that to boost your immune system, to boost your health, you need a plant-based, organic plant-based. Vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds. If you want to weaken your immune system because of what is put in, you can stay with the milk, processed foods, and doctor's prescription. So I try to give a quick overview of what the immune system is and what you can do to strengthen your immune system and what weakens. I'm now going to deal with part 2. I'm going to read you an article. You need a pencil and paper to take it down. It's dealing directly with viruses globally, not coronavirus in particular, to give you an idea what happens here. Now, the article is called Viruses, V-I-R-U-S-E-S, if you're taking this down, falling, F-A-L-L-I-N-G, from F-R-O-M-E, sky, S-K-Y, in, I-N, there, T-H-E-I-R, billions, B-I-L-L-I-O-N-S, every E-V-E-R-Y day. And I'm going to read the article, which will take about a minute and a half for you to review. Billions of viruses fall from the sky every day, according to the new research, which could explain why genetically identical viruses are often found in very different environments around the world. This was posted
Rent, houses, community,
February
radio,
13,
the soul
2018.
of the Upper West Side.
Go on to say, in a scientific first, a team of international researchers recorded that number of viruses being swept up daily from the Earth's surface into the free air, the lowest level where we breathe. The study published in the International Society for Microbial Ecology journal described the detection of hundreds of millions of viruses and bacteria raining down from the sky on a daily basis. Every day, more than 800 million viruses are deposited per square meter above the planetary layer. That's 25 viruses for each person in Canada. And then they give you the study of the co-author. As we finalize the journal, then we'll go into Corona-19. Bacteria and virus are swept up into the atmosphere as small particles from soil and dust and sea spray. The pathogens can be carried thousands of kilometers overhead before being dropped back on the Earth's surface. This phenomena explains how the same virus ends up in notable different environments. Bacteria and virus are typically deposited back to Earth via rain, events, and Sahara dust intrusion. However, the rain was less efficient in removing viruses from the atmosphere. And then the study co-authors, and they mentioned, scientists conclude, while the deposit of bacteria and virus from the atmosphere may have effect on the structure and function and recipients of the ecosystem, it's not necessarily terrible news, as a deposit could help the ecosystem. That's a reference to let you know that we breathe hundreds, if not thousands, of viruses every day that cause a problem. The third part of the presentation before question and answer is on the coronavirus 19, generally and specifically. These viruses circulate around the globe. Every country on Earth experiences these viral movements. Every country on Earth has a flu season. In the Northern Hemisphere, cut the Earth in half, in the Northern Hemisphere, even though we're breathing all these viruses every day, let's say the flu virus or coronavirus, the greatest amount of infections that these viruses cause in the Northern Hemisphere, as documented by the CDC, starts in November, and the season ends in May. So the flu season, we're not talking about corona season. We're talking about the typical flu season, influenza A, B, C, and D, that occurs in the United States every year. And it's the season, according to the CDC, starts around 10/1, October, and it ends in May the following year. So in this particular year, the CDC is reporting that from October 10/1/2019, the flu season will end in the United States in 2020. So we're still in the flu. Flu, we're not talking about corona, we're talking about influenza A, B, C, and D. So while you have the coronavirus here, you simultaneously, according to the CDC and others, you having also a flu epidemic in the United States. So in the Northern Hemisphere, around the globe, countries in the Northern Hemisphere are experiencing their flu syndrome season, whether it's Germany or France or China. That's the height. 10/1/2019 to April 2020. We're in the flu season. The Southern Hemisphere, they will have their 4 or 5 months of flu season when the Earth tilts. So just the point is, the flu is always, these viruses have always been around. Human beings, like animals, have always experienced these infections, and infections that we are breathing in every day. It's just more exaggerated in the Northern Hemisphere between those months. The 10/1/2019 in this case, and April and May 2020. So we're still in the flu season, even though the coronavirus is here. What I want to do is give you, as we conclude on the coronavirus, I want to give you another reference point. You can go online or Google or whatever you do, and you put in CDC, Center for Disease Control, and you put in flu season 2019 to 2020. You put in your internet, you put in CDC flu season, 10/1/2019 to April 2020. That's the flu season they're going to report on the CDC. So on that website, I checked it today, the CDC is reporting a flu epidemic or flu season in the United States running simultaneously with the corona. And these are the numbers that the CDC cite for this flu. Flu is influenza A, B, C, and D, not corona. And this is what you're going to get. From 10 October 2019 to April 2020, this year, they're reporting, the CDC is reporting 39 million to 56 million people in the United States will have the flu symptom, will have a flu. They also report that 18 million to 26 million people in the United States will go to some kind of medical facility for the flu. Not corona. They will also report on this website that 410,000 to 740,000 Americans will be hospitalized for the flu. And they will also state that 24,000 up to 62,000 people in the United States will die of the flu. We're not dealing with corona yet. We're going to deal with it right now. So what I wanted to bring to your attention is for you to check out that the CDC is reporting that simultaneously with the corona infection, you have a flu syndrome that's killing people. Now, let's go to the corona. My account may be inaccurate, but the last time I checked 2 days ago, there were 88,000 Americans who died of the coronavirus so far. But in this period, that 88,000 has died, according to CDC, between 24 and 62,000 Americans have died. So in other words, the corona, they state killed 88,000 to this date, whereas the CDC is simultaneously saying, well, about 50,000 in addition died of the flu. Now, I may have missed the reporting on public communication that there was a flu virus. At this point, I'm concluding my presentation on the coronavirus as it relates to what it is. I wanted to give you some oversight for you to look into and research. And specifically with the eye, yes, coronavirus, like all viruses, can come out of the ear, hit your eye, dissolve in the liquid part that cleans your eyes, and be brought in. Brother Leroy, do you have any questions?
The first question is relating to the eyes. The immune system, where does it kick in as it relates to the eyes? Where does it kick in relating to the nose? And you indicated tonsils for the throat. What about the eyes and the nose?
Every part of the body that is exposed to the environment. See, you have a layer of skin that protects you from the environment, but that skin is made biologically of a certain type of tissue. In this case, the outer skin is made of a living and dead structure that is lipid or protein. It's like a tough layer. It's a physical barrier. Your skin is a physical barrier to viruses, in this case, viruses. But of course, you have pores. So that's your physical barrier. Every part of your body that's directly exposed to the environment without skin on it, eye, the mucous membrane of your nose, the mucous membrane of your mouth, the mucous membrane of your rectum, the mucous membrane of the head of your penis, the mucous membrane of the female vagina, These are mucus, these are areas directly exposed to the air.
Okay.
So when you go to the eye, you know there will be a secretion. There's a constant fluid secretion. We call it tears, which is predominantly not water, but it's the same as plasma. Think of it as liquid plasma. And in that, it has antibodies in it. In that, it has cells in it to protect the eye. So your tear film is a liquid solution that has antibodies in it and has cells in it and has chemicals in it to physically protect the eye. That's one of the reasons why your outer part of your eye doesn't get infection. So that's those tears will protect you from the coronavirus. And technically, if the coronavirus or any virus enters your tear, it could be sucked in as the tear recirculates through the nose. So that's what it is. Your nose and your mouth is also a mucous membrane, which is like a protein secretion. And in that membrane, when you blow your nose or you cough, it has the cells in it, white blood cells, killer cells, T cells, to kill a virus there. It has antibodies in it. So your mucous membrane in your eye, the mucous membrane that is secreted in your nose and your mouth, head of your penis, if you're circumcised, the mucous membrane that's secreted in your rectum, the mucous membrane that's secreted in the woman's vagina, in uterus, it's a mucus protein that's coming out. It's a liquid mixed with protein. That's why it's kind of viscous or sticky, but it's loaded with antibodies to kill a virus. It's loaded with chemicals. It's loaded with white blood cells. That's how the body fights off and protects those areas that do not have skin on it. So in your nose, the tonsils, they're chemicals, antibodies, and they're white blood cells waiting to kill it. In your mouth, the mucous membrane. So that's the secretions.
Okay, so I'm clear on that, and what you're giving us insight into is that in terms of the eyes, as sensitive as the eyes are, that the defense mechanism in the eyes is a powerful entity to protect our eyes on a daily and even evening basis. That's one response to what you said. The other thing that is coming out of what you're saying and a little bit of what others are saying outside of the news briefs, etc., is that the reality, see, the notion that I had, I'm talking as a consumer, not as a radio host, but as a consumer. The notion that I had was that this COVID or coronavirus was something that, wow, it had no relation. The way it's presented, it has no relationship to the fact that there are thousands of viruses around us every day that we take in and that are within our body. So there's this invisible, practically invisible, below dust particle size, the corona is floating around, and that we have to do everything in our ability to defend ourselves from this invisible, almost invisible particle. And that means dusting and wiping off, I mean, to the 2800 degree, and which is good, but it's a fear that's generated that maybe this dusting that I've been doing for years is not enough to defend myself from this corona or COVID virus. When the reality is the immune system is the key to defending oneself from not only the corona, but every virus. That's my reaction to what you said thus far. And also, please give the title again of that article that you were reading from, and how people can pursue that for their own benefit.
Okay, I will repeat the article in reference to viruses. The article was posted February 13, 2018. The title is Viruses, V-I-R-U-S-E-S, Falling, F-A-L-L-I-N-G, from F-R-O-M, Sky, S-K-Y-N-I-N, there, T-H-E-I-R, billions, B-I-L-L-I-O-N-S, every, E-V-E-R-Y, day, D-A-Y. Now you plug it in, you will get the article. You don't, there's no particular website in that reference. Now, just to further elaborate, because again, I'm not speaking here as an expert on epidemiology, on viruses, and I'm not here criticizing any public, private, individual, government, or state official. All I'm asking the audience to ask yourself the question. 188, last article, 88,000 died from coronavirus. But simultaneously, according to the CDC, we've been in a virus epidemic since October 2019. That viral epidemic, which comes every year, is called the flu. It started in the 10th, October 2019, November, December 2019, January 2019. So it's already been here 4 months before the announcement that the coronavirus was here, killing people. CDC we're in the 4th month. And the CDC said that from October 2019 to about April or May, that virus called the flu, which is, they call it influenza A, B, C, and D, has already killed 40 or 50 million people in the United States by May of this year. 40 or 50 people dead by the CDC. Simultaneously, while the flu virus was raging in the United States, the 10th, the 11th month, the 12th month, the 1st month, the coronavirus comes in about into January, but we already were in the 4 month. 20,000 people by that time had already died. And the CDC is basically saying in their website, if we don't talk about the coronavirus, by the end of May of 2020, they calculate on their website, the low figure of the flu, A, B, C, and D, will kill 24 to 62,000. So you already, according to the regular flu, you already kill this, by May it's gonna kill 40, maybe 50 million. But do you hear that on the radio, that we have 2 viral infections according to the CDC running concurrent, side by side. One started in the 10th and still going, and one started here. You get the quotes on the coronavirus as 88,000 dead, I saw on the TV. But when they quoted that, the CDC is saying, by this time you quoted that, the major part of the flu epidemic is winding down. You probably have 40, 40, 50,000 dead already from the flu, not from the corona. Which means then, if a person dies and you test them for corona, do they call it a corona death? Now, I didn't say they did now. I'm very careful now. I didn't say they did. I asked the question. If your person dies and that person is tested and they're tested positive for corona, is it reported as a corona death? If you did not do further, if you're not tested for flu A, B, C, or D, what did they die of? If you know how many patients who died of the 88 had underlying causes, heart disease, pneumonias, poor immune system, because most of the people who die of any infectious disease, whether it's flu or whether it's corona, Usually they are more elderly with compromised immune system. So if a person died, you test that person, say, oh, he's positive for corona. But does that prove that he died of corona? Did you test him for the flu A, B, C, and D? Did you go in enough detail to say, well, this person had an underlying heart condition. This patient was A, B, C, and D. So when they present you a number, that's a number. But as a medical doctor, as a scientist, or whether no matter what employment you are, somebody give you some gross figures, the government is very good in breaking things down. 60,000 people died. Then they say, what percentage was Black, 1%? They break everything down. You get no breakdown on the corona, just that corona death. There's no discussion. Well, if they died and you test them for corona, are you calling it a corona death? Did you rule out influenza? Because remember, we got two viruses running side by side, according to the CDC. Oh. You have the influenza virus that started in 2019, okay, still going on now and winding down, that they say will kill almost 40,000 on average. So 40,000 people in the United States, when they started testing in January for coronavirus, there are probably, according to CDC, 20,000 people died already of the flu. Are you testing people simultaneously of the flu and corona to differentiate? Is the 88,000 true 88 coronavirus? Yeah, 88 that might have tested, but did you differentiate? Maybe 1/3 of them are flu. Maybe 1/3 of do. That's all I'm asking you to bring to your attention. The fact that science and life is not that simple. Oh, 88,000 people died of coronavirus. What does it mean? I'm asking the question, just look up and you figure it out yourself. I'm not questioning the authority of anybody, federal, state, or city, and I'm not objecting to it. I'm not protesting. I'm just bringing the attention that as a citizen of the United States, I looked and saw the CDC is reporting a flu epidemic called a flu, A, B, C, or D. It started on 10/2019. And up to the time that coronavirus was beginning to hit the screen, it had probably killed 20,000 people from the flu. The flu part. And by the end of this season, the CDC is going to kill probably on order 40 or 50,000. Had nothing to do with corona. So that's why I emphasize the immune system, regardless of what they call it. Regardless of what you're going to get it every year. The world gets it every year. There's nothing special about a pandemic. They denounce a pandemic. It's always a pandemic in the world. At any one time, tens of millions of people are being hit by these viruses. Only a small percent die. So in the Northern Hemisphere, say United States, China, and the European country. So let's say there's a total of, let's just say arbitrarily, there are going to be 150 million people dead of this virus, the corona. In the Southern Hemisphere, because it's not the season, may only 10,000 die. Then when we flip and get into the warmer weather, when it's going to most likely tail down, most likely, I didn't say it will, the numbers will go here. But whatever the variation of the virus from the sun, then the numbers in the Southern Hemisphere are going to be rising. So to hear that China was hit, Iran was hit, they all get hit, everybody gets hit. It's who you report on. You think there wasn't a flu virus in Thailand, whether the numbers are small or not? What I'm trying to say is everybody in the Northern Hemisphere, between 10, the cold weather, gets hit with a viral hit, big hit. That's all. I just was bringing it to you.
You're tuned in to Ghcr, Grant House's community radio, the soul of the Upper West Side.
You have another question?
Okay, the
health threat anywhere is a health threat everywhere.
Yes.
I'm Dr. Phil.
Getting
new coronavirus outbreak called COVID-19 started in China and is spreading to many countries, including the U.S. It's critical to get the facts about how to protect our friends and loved ones. While CDC is working with states and communities to stop the spread of the virus, health workers and emergency response efforts need our support. The CDC Foundation, a nonprofit organization, is focusing on immediate and critical needs that help protect our communities here at home and those around the world. We can all play a role in stopping.
Okay, now, here's first of all, medicine can be considered an exact science. That's the question.
Well, I don't know what they define as medicine. It has no meaning. You have to be, not you in person, you have to be more specific. So for instance, if you were to say to me, medicine in the United States, give an overall view. I said, oh, you mean medicine as it relates to dealing with human beings? Then I might say to you, well, according to this coronal response, it doesn't appear that the United States has a good or any public health system. If you're short of gloves, masks, and what you call respirators, are you really that well equipped? So that would ask. Now, does the healthcare system, if you say United States, do I deal with it? That is a $3 trillion industry? And $1 trillion goes to the medical people, $1 trillion goes to the pharmaceutical for drugs, and $1 million goes to the insurance company? Do you talking about a medical system in the United States that is one of the major entity that people are in bankruptcy? Do you talk about a medical system where death by medicine, Gary Null and others documented that the healthcare system, there's a conservative estimate by the statistics that 700,000 people die every year from the healthcare system that's under doubt from medications and stuff? Is you talking about that healthcare system? Are you talking about the healthcare system that you have in many countries? Because I've traveled and worked in North Africa, 4 or 5 countries in West Africa, most of the Caribbean countries I've been around in terms of health, and in the South Pacific and Vanuatu. Each of them have some kind of preliminary health system where you can get some kind of basic health and the other health without going broke. Which healthcare system? Do you talk about a healthcare system? Any country to measure the health of their population, public health is 3 components. You look at the water. If the water is good, let's take the air. If the air is nice and clean with no pollution, good quality air that doesn't push down your health or your immune system. Then you go to the water. Is the water clean? If the air is good and the water is clean, means good potable water that's not mixed with any contaminant. Then you go to the food. People who are eating organic, basically plant-based diet with no pesticide. Who is more healthy? Who has more of a health system? A system where the air is clear, the water is relatively unpolluted, and you're eating organic, plant-based diet. Or the typical person living in the big cities in the United States or Western Europe who's breathing highly polluted water, highly polluted air, toxin stuff. The water is polluted here in the United States and others with all kinds of chemicals, runoff from the farm, pesticides, pharmaceuticals. And then you're eating a food which is not a plant-based organic diet, which is primarily a meat-based diet that is genetically modified, got pesticides in it and toxins. And the meat that you eat, the animal has already been given antibiotics, steroids, growth hormone, and injection. Which one, if you ask a public health specialist, which population from a public health would be more healthy? So the healthcare system that I've experienced in the United States is excellent when it comes to emergency medicine. Acute problems we can take care of. But when it comes to medicine as it's supposed to plug into the public health, you look at the statistics and you judge. Dr. Leroy?
Yeah, okay.
I'm giving it back to you.
You okay. The reason I asked that, raised that, and phrased it that way is that you were dealing with the deaths, the CDC's report on the deaths from flu.
Yes.
From the flu season, and then you brought in the CDC numbers from corona,
Correct.
from what they say is corona.
Yeah, I got the
And
off the TV, and I got the numbers I reported to you come directly from the CDC, which anybody can look up.
okay, so what I'm getting without doing a bar chart myself, a vertical bar chart, that's how I would look at it, that there's an overlap, and the overlap of flu deaths with the statement of corona deaths leaves a question as to some of the corona actually being flu. That's a question that someone could ask, not that you're stating, someone could ask when they look at the flu season and they look at what is projected for the corona season. Now, in addition to that, what we are as consumers, myself, are led to believe is that this corona thing, and they keep saying it's going to be with us forever, and therefore the mask and the social distancing and et cetera is going to be with us forever. So until we get a vaccine, but the viruses are with us anyway, and not breaking out the numbers, which some doctors are doing on I'm talking about New York City doctors, not holistic doctors. Some doctors are saying that the deaths that are, I'm weaving a couple of things in here, but I'm just dealing with the overlap. Let's deal with the overlap. There's an overlap that you're indicating from, there's a possible overlap in the merging of some of the same deaths in with the corona, which actually come from the flu. Is that the picture that you've drawn? That's how I'm interpreting.
Yeah. One of the basic tenets that we use in medicine, like in anything, you do a differential diagnosis. You present it with a problem, and then you say, what are the possibilities based upon our knowledge of what we know and our testing? What are the possibilities of it doing this? For instance, a person comes in, he has pain, he's urinating frequently. First thing you do is, well, okay, let's just take an average of, say it's a 40-year-old male. He comes here, he's urinating frequently. Is he urinating frequently because he has an infection? Is he urinating frequently because his prostate is enlarged? Is he urinating frequently because he has symptoms of diabetes that gives you extra urination because the body has to pull out the sugar? You don't have a clue to what you're dealing with. So in medicine, like all the other people, you go to a differential. The basic thing is most of the information about what you know about a patient is going to come from a good history. The second thing that gives you a little more information is any tests you could do, blood tests, chest x-ray, etc. The third thing is physical exam. If you do a physical exam on the average person, you're not going to be able to find, you don't know what's going on with the person. So if you want to find out what's going on with the person, you must do a good history. Then you try to add on some tests and try a physical. So you're looking at a viral infection and you don't know what's killing people. They're telling you it's corona's killing people. But at the same time, the flu is killing people. Now, how do you differentiate? Right. I don't know how they differentiate. And I'm not questioning how they differentiate. I'm questioning is why did you have two running concurrent, you're reporting one and not the other? So if you want to get a group of medical doctors together, the first thing you're going to say, well, you just can't report those as corona death. You have a viral infection called a flu that's killing people. They would never let it get past. You would never get past in a medical conference or anything to say that you have two concurrent viruses, both killing people according to the CDC, and you're telling us that all of them were corona. Nobody's going to buy that. They're going to ask for, how did you differentiate? Did you do this test and that test? All kinds of questions going to come up. Never would that get passed. So that's the question in there. I'm saying we have to see, how do you want to handle it? That's why I bring it to your attention to let you know that's two, and your question is valid. How do you know who died? When these people are dying, how you know what part is corona, what part is flu, unless you test? Because the CDC said they're both killing people.
Right.
Do you have an accurate enough test to differentiate when the government or somebody mentioned that you didn't even have enough test kits to adequately test the population? You still don't have enough test kits. And now the test kits and on the swabs of the nose and antibiotic, they're saying half of them can't be believed. And that's what happens. And that's what happens in medicine. You have a patient.
Doc, I'm sorry.
Yes.
You just raised the. You've answered my question. During your presentation on the immune system, you mentioned antibiotics. Antibiotics.
I made a mistake. It's antibodies. It's
okay.
what the body made. Antibiotics is what humans made. So I correct the error.
Oh, okay, no, but this is good. This is good because antibiotics is what humans make to mirror what the body does with antibodies.
Yes. So I'm glad you corrected. Yes.
No, I'm getting clarification. No, I corrected you. I'm getting clarification.
No, but it's important. That clarification is critical. I meant to say antibodies. Maybe Southern accent, mix it up.
No, I'm cool. Interferon. Have you been able to do any research on interferon as a part of the body's natural defense against germs, viruses, etc.?
Yeah, I went online and checked some of the things. Let me tell you what they're saying so you can mention it. And as I indicated before, most of these things that they come up with is something the body already has. This is what they say if you go on the website, if you go into medical books and the urology. We're not going deep. They're saying interferon is a protein that is made naturally in the body. Now, protein is a complex molecule. You ever see a young child put together cubes and it's so detailed? So
I'm sorry, ask that question. That question, they ever seen a child
put together these little Lego blocks and it's massive, all kind of interconnected. So if you go online, they will attempt to show you a picture of a structure and say, well, this is the protein structure of interferon. But the key thing is interferon is a protein that is produced in the body by certain cells of the body. Okay? Now, when you hear proteins made by something in the body, a cell of the body, some living cell makes protein. So you say interferon is a protein made in the body. What kind of cells make it? The cells that protect your immune system. They're what they call the fibroblasts. Okay, these are the four when looking over the literature a day or two ago. Fibroblasts are types of cells that make type 1 interferon. Fibroblasts, monocytes, they make interferon type 1 and type 2. White blood cells and T cells, T killer cells, make interferon 3. That's just gross. So what you now have is you have certain cells in your body that are the ones that are main fighters against the virus. They call them white blood cells. They call them fibroblasts. They call them monocytes. They call them T cells. Those 4 cells make interferon 1, 2, and 3. That's just a variation, okay? So now we know it's a protein. It's made by your cells that are designated to help you with your immune system, correct?
Yes.
When they make this protein, the purpose of making the protein is to viruses, they are a certain entity. When they enter your cell, they multiply, okay? The viruses that enter your cell are what they call RNA virus. When they enter the cell, they begin to multiply. in order to multiply, they have to use or gut out the living cell. You got that correct? You with me, Leroy? Brother Leroy? Hello? Brother Leroy? I'll wait until I can get a response. Brother Leroy? Okay, so interferon is a protein made by these types of cells. And interferon is designed to help your cell fight off the virus. That's basically an overview of interferon. It's a naturally occurring protein produced by certain cells in response to a viral infection to stop the virus from replicating. Brother Leroy, did I lose you? Hello? I'm still here. Brother Leroy? Two, 3:15. Recording?
Thank you.
Are you still recording, Brother Leroy? So that's what interferon is. It's the body's secreting this protein to help the cells to fight off and stop the replication of the viruses.
Please leave your name and number. Thank you. Please leave your name and number. Good afternoon.
Yeah, Esther. Esther? Can you hear me? Still recording. Let me wait for a second.
I think there's a glitch here.
Esther,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, what happened was we were talking and then all of a sudden we got cut off. It was
Yeah.
3:17.
Keep going.
Keep
I have
going?
you on Zoom.
Okay,
Keep
so you
going,
want me to
yeah.
keep going? Okay, bye-bye.
Right.
So again, as we were indicating here, the question was asked, what about interferon? Again, as we indicated, interferon, as they're reporting, is a protein that is produced in the body by certain types of cells. These types of cells are called fibroblasts, T cells, T killer cells, white blood cells. This protein is produced to help and transmit to cells which have been invaded by certain viruses. And this protein enters the virus of the cell that has been invaded by a virus. And what it does, it assists the body to prevent the virus from duplicating. So it's an internal part of the immune system, the chemical part of the immune system. And it also helps to regulate the body's ability to fight off the virus. So it's part of the immune system in that particular respect. Now, as far as reporting, you could go further on the CDC website and you could put in the, you will see the formulation and you'll see the numbers that the CDC has used for the season 2018 to 2019. And in the flu season 2018, 2019 is 35 million sick people, 16.5 million went to health facilities, and 34 million deaths. That's the flu according to 2018, 2019. So a key, again, we still have the ongoing flu season that will come every year.
Yeah, Doc. Hello. I think we lost Brother Leroy's audio.
Yeah, I didn't know exactly what should I do at this point?
We lost Dr. We lost Brother Leroy Ziwa. I don't know. It's Dr. Vesta has a question she wants to ask.
Okay, ask the question. I'll do the best I can.
Sure. Esther would have to, let me unmute her mic. Esther, can you, do you have a question for the doc? She's got her microphone.
I don't hear the question.
She didn't ask a question. She didn't, I'm trying to get her to unmute her mic.
Okay, very good.
Hear her.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. During the AIDS epidemic, I remember hearing a lot about interferon. And I also recall how that was being used in Kenya, East Africa. Can you share anything to us and our audience about interferon as it relates to AIDS and how it compares with what we're having now? Is that a good question?
Yes, it's a good question.
Okay.
In terms of trying to answer it, I can only answer it based upon the level of my knowledge and exposure.
Mm-hmm.
The first part of the question, I've heard that interferon was used. At this point, I'm not privy to, I wasn't able to look up any studies that say interferon was used for AIDS.
Mhm.
How successful was the interferon? What was the population they used on, was that the interferon was used? Who administered this? So you have to look at who is reporting. That's the first thing. So I cannot tell you anything about that study. Now I can just briefly give you an idea what interferon is, and I can then give you a potential politics of the AIDS in Africa, if I may. Interferon is a protein that is produced in the body of all human beings. It's one of the antibodies that your cells of your immune system produce to protect you. There are a number of different systems, a number of different set of chemicals that the body produces to protect you. For instance, you might hear the doctor say, you know, you have different types of antibodies. They give you IgA, IgE, IgD, they name them. So there's a system of chemicals in your body produced by cells called antibodies that act to help the cell, protect the cell. Then you have other systems in the body that act chemically to help it. One of these systems is called the complement system. It's a system of biochemical structures to help the body fight off all infections, but in this case, viruses. There is another system. There are many systems. Another system is called interferon. Interferon is a protein made by your cells of your body. All of us produce interferon. It's a protein produced by certain cells. You have certain cells in your body, part of the immune system. We call them white blood cells. We call them T cells. We call them T killer cells. We call them fibroblasts. These cells produce this protein called interferon. Interferon is one of the protein structures that the body produces to protect you from the viruses. So one of the mechanisms of interferon is its ability to communicate, made by certain immune cells, and this is transmitted to viruses which have been infected, cells which have been infected by viruses. So let's say a cell is circulating and the virus enters your blood and the virus is able to enter and penetrate that cell. What that virus is going to do is going to use the cell's structure and try to reproduce itself, replicate itself. Is that somebody came in and tried to stand next to you and then draw all of your energy from you, your blood from you, your oxygen from you, to take it from you and make themselves alive. So what viruses do is enter the cell, and as it enters the cell, it begins to change and try to force the cell to use the cell structures to duplicate more viruses. Let me say it again. You have a cell that's functioning. The virus enters the cell. The virus will begin to attempt to use the body, that cell's energy, structure, proteins, and everything to duplicate itself.
Houses of Community Radio,
to
the soul
help itself.
of the Upper West Side.
Right, that cell, which is infected by the virus, will produce this protein called interferon to fight off the virus. The T cells, the white blood cells, and the fibroblasts will also produce interferon to help that cell. So overall, interferon is one of the mechanisms that your body naturally has to secrete these proteins to help you fight off the virus. That's what interferon is. As far as how they got it, where they get it from, successful, I can't give you any information on it. What I would say about AIDS in Africa and what was happening with AIDS when it came to testing. Basically, they took a number of what they call blood antigens. They took a series of chemicals from the cell and they tested your blood. And they said, if your blood reacted to, there are 9 of them, let's just use nine sets of sets. If your blood reacted to 3 of them, of the 9, they would say you have AIDS. If your blood reacted to 6 of them, they said you would have AIDS. Some 9, so different AIDS tests had different result in different parts of the world. So let me just reiterate. If you have any of the old circulars given by the pharmaceutical company, the test that they use to test for AIDS, the pharmaceutical company states in its circular that these tests are not to be used to determine AIDS because AIDS is a multifocal disease. So the test was flawed. The interpretation was flawed. Not only that, when they reported AIDS in large numbers in Africa, there were some UN reports, another report says that 10% of Africans had HIV virus. That's going to kill them. 30% of Africa. In 10 years, half the African population will be dead. That was some of the reports. So to ask yourself the question, the pharmaceutical companies from the World Health Organization, what did they do to Africa? They went to Africa and said, you need to buy these products in order to treat your AIDS patient. Some of the African countries says, what are you talking about? My population hasn't been tested. The vast majority of the African population, I can't give you a number, never was tested. So you had tests that were not to be used. And let's say the test for AIDS was 100% accurate. The vast majority, I don't know what the number, 70, 80, 90%, the vast majority of Africans were never tested. So you're reporting, the World Health Organization are reporting large numbers of AIDS with no tests. And in some instances, if you were in Africa and you came in to a clinic and you had fever, cough, diarrhea, and loss of weight, they call it AIDS. But malaria, intestinal parasites, a number of conditions cause the same syndrome. So that one, the AIDS test was in question. 2, they never tested the majority of Africans, even though they reported a large number got AIDS. And what they would do is you come in, and if you lost weight, you have a cause, they call it AIDS. Now, who are these people calling it AIDS? Well, you know, mainly from Western. And the solution was to buy these very expensive AIDS drugs. They were trying to make money off African on the AIDS drug. But the only African country that had a little bit of money to buy these drugs was South Africa. That is my view. That can be checked out about the AIDS virus.
Okay. I noticed there's a scramble now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, a scramble to get people tested. I keep hearing this discussion about you can't make any decisions because people have not been tested. Could you elaborate on that? And you see people standing up in gas stations or near in parks, and they're being tested now. What is that all about?
This is how I'm going to answer the question.
Okay.
First of all, the tests that are done, and I have no knowledge of the test that has been done. From what I hear to the public, and I'm giving only what I hear to the public because I'm not speaking as an expert, you don't have enough test kits. 320 million people in the United States. You don't have enough test kits. The test kits are in short supply. Many of the test kits and many of the blood tests are inaccurate. They're under question. So the thing is, if you don't have enough to test 320 million Americans, and if the test kits are in question, what are you testing for? And is that test accurate enough? I'm only asking question. I didn't say the test was or what. Is that test you're doing, that blood test, accurate enough to differentiate a coronavirus 19 from the flu virus? Is it sensitive enough not only to differentiate between the coronavirus and the flu virus? What about all the other viruses that are there? So that's the questions they would have to, that's what you would ask if you were talking about the accuracy of the test in a so-called scientific meaning, not on the TV publicity. You do a test for corona. Did that test accurately differentiate it from the flu? Because remember, you have two infections killing people in the United States to this day simultaneously, according to the CDC. The corona, which they say I took on TV last week, killed 88,000 Americans. The CDC says the flu killed 50,000, 40,000. Where's your numbers? So that's the test. I can't tell them what to do on the test. I would ask the question. If New York City is an important economic hub for, let's say, 10, 15 million families in Long Island, Westchester, upstate, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Connecticut, and the people of New York. If 10 to 15 million people it's New York City to run efficiently as New York City they need New York City for an income. In order for you to run New York City, I'm just saying what they say, it is said, you gotta have a functioning subway system to move enough people backward and forward to keep New York City economically vibrant. They also state, rough numbers, that 30 to 45% of New York City's revenue come from tourism. Now, if you have to move 4 million people a day on the subway, are you now going to say, oh, they can work at home? What happens when you get to a subway station that has 700-800 people waiting? If you're going to say you go in and everybody got a 6 feet apart, how many people could stay in a one subway car 6 feet apart? Let's just give a number, 20. In order to move people in subway, especially at rush hour, those cars hold what, 100, 110, 115 people? So how are you going to move adequate number of people in the millions to keep New York City vibrant? And then you tell me you're going to space them six feet apart? I don't know. What are you going to do with 1.1 million school children? Are you going to say everybody has to have a computer in order to do it? So somebody has to, federal, state, and city has to work out the mechanism by which they're going to have to justify to the people of New York City, I'm using New York City, that it's essential to stay 6 feet apart. And now how are you going to move 4 million people if that's what the public, that's what the city, the train do? Are you going, how are you going to do it? Have you figured it out? That was the question that I would ask. I cannot say 6 feet is not a good thing All I can say is what I repeated. You're breathing millions of viruses, whether you wear a mask or not. I didn't say a mask doesn't help. I didn't say a mask doesn't reduce it. But you're still breathing the same contaminated air. So you, the public, have to decide what's happening. See? So that's how I would try to handle that question, because I can't say whether or not the coronavirus is it. And who has a crystal ball to say, oh, this thing, coronavirus, is going to kill 100,000 more people? How do they know what it's going to do? Because most people in any influenza or viral infection, the vast majority of the people, 90%, 95% of the people will not die, according to their statistics. When you look at the CDC in the report for the influenza season 2019 to 2020, it says that 39 to 56 million people was ill. This is what the CDC is saying. It's saying about the flu. The flu is influenza A, B, C, and D, not corona. Starting with October 2019 up to April 2020. From the flu alone, they said, CDC said 36 to 56 million people had flu symptoms. We don't know, we ain't said nothing about corona. This they're talking about influenza. Of that 39 to 56 who got flu illness, 18 million to 26 million went for medical visits. Of that who went for medical visit for the influenza, not corona, according to the CDC, says 410,000 to 740,000 were hospitalized. So according, hello? Yeah. Am I still with you or we off?
No, brother, yeah, I got that off.
Okay, good. So there's no more.
So, do you still have Mr. Frazier on, Doug Frazier?
No, I don't have anybody. I have in front of me your circular screen.
Yep. Yeah, I'm here. Hello, I get Doc. I'm here. I'm in the background. Thing that you saying to Esther on the broadcast. So yes. I mean, I thought she was asking you the questions.
Well, I was answering the question. Then I got it. Should I continue with this line, or was there another question to direct me?
No. Esther is asking the questions. Brother Leroy has gone, and so Esther is the one that's asking the questions. I guess she dropped out. She dropped out of the conversation. Yes, she did. So you called on her cell phone. Okay. What did we do at this point? I say, man, you continue with the thing, and let's go for the wrap up, and then we'll finish it from there, because you've made a pretty good dissertation about what's going on. Right. Yeah, I don't ask to have any more questions, but if she does, then she should do them. We need to do them in the broadcast, and if she's calling you on the phone, I mean, we could all hear you on the phone talking in the broadcast. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So no, not a problem, Doctor. No problem. But I mean, it's we want to get the information to the people. Yeah. So I try to give the core information to the public for them to start doing their homework and for them to start questioning. Now, the question can always come up, and I don't know who would answer the question about collapsing the economy for this viral infection when you've had these before. Somebody made a decision, and that's the way it is. Now, those individuals who made the decision, they're going to have to deal with the American people on how to bring the economy back. Now, you could predict anything you want, or it's going to come back. We know the viral infections come back. They always come back. We've always had them. So every time you get when the next flu season, if they open up the economy in September, what's going to happen when the next flu season starts in 10/20 to 10/21? You're going to get another one, whether it's influenza or corona, it's coming again. Now, what do you do next year? How do you handle it? I don't know how you handle the running of a country or city when you're getting these flu epidemics. As far as vaccinations are concerned, all of these years,
to my knowledge, there's no company or pharmaceutical that has developed a flu shot. You ask yourself the question, a flu shot against what? If you have influenza A, B, C, and D, and you have hundreds of other viruses that are making us sick that we don't even know the name to. So if you claim in the vaccination that this will kill influenza A, B, C, and D, and let's say you come up with a vaccination that say this will kill Corona-19, what happens when Corona-21 comes? What happens when Corona-30 comes? What happens when hundreds of different viruses come? Now we're talking Corona-19, we're talking for influenza A, B, C, and D. This is just the ones they monitor, they know about, but we know there are thousands that we are infected with. So the next flu season, which will be here October 2020, and it's going to last until May 2021. We're going to have another one like we've been having for the last 10 years. So expect it. Now let's see what the response is going to be when it comes. And the only major advice that I have is the knowledge that we're trying to transmit to each other. And you better get your immune system high as you can, because the flu vaccine, if it works, is it going to work against other viruses? If it's specific for that, you got hundreds of it. We don't know what we're going to be hit with next year. We know we're going to be hit with it, but we don't know which one.
So, Doc, are you saying that and I guess you're making it pretty clear that the actual economic situation and the medical part are not synonymous with each other? They're exclusive to each other.
What I'm saying is this, the question that I ask myself, if you're getting a flu epidemic every year, if the CDC, and I'm not saying the numbers are accurate or not, but you're getting report from the same agency, you're getting a report about a flu epidemic, the normal flu epidemic that hits New York City in the United States every year, just like China gets hit with it every year. The Europeans get hit with it. People die, you do it, they didn't close, nobody closed down the economy. And I'm not saying the closure of the economy was or was not justified. That's not the question I can ask. But what I'm saying to you is, we've had these things. The CDC is just reporting that we were in from October 2019, still to present, we're still in the flu season. Flu defined by the CDC is influenza A, B, C, and D. And that they're saying by the time this thing ends in May, this influenza A, B, C, and D will kill almost 50,000 Americans. Just like they said in 2018, it killed 35,000. Now, you know that. Simultaneously, starting in January, we got the coronavirus. The coronavirus is supposed to have killed 88,000. Now they're telling
What about the flu? What about the flu influenza people? I hear you.
Remember, when you go on the website, influenza, the flu syndrome, they specifically say influenza A, B, C, and D. That's what they're monitoring. Now, now the corona hit. Now they're monitoring, testing for what they call coronavirus 19. They're not mentioning anything. So what I'm saying, according to CDC, I'm sitting here in New York City, breathing air, according to the CDC, and I'm being bombarded by viruses they're calling Corona-19 and the flu called influenza A, B, C, and D. Somebody gets sick, they die. What are you calling it? You have enough differentiation to say this was a corona death, this was a this death? Or is I don't know what the policy is, somebody dying and somebody test them and they test positive for corona? Do you call it a corona death? If you do, you're allowed to do that. You're running the numbers. Did you test to make sure it really wasn't an influenza death? Did you test to make sure that they didn't die of a flu? People dying every day without dying of flu. What is how many people die every day in this country from medical problems unrelated to the flu. So that's all the questions that has to be asked.
Gotcha.
And we know it's coming again. So we will see the next time it hit whether what's gonna be the response.
So it's pretty clear, Doc, from listening to your lecture, that it's pretty obvious that again, I'm saying it again, I'm sorry for repeating it.
Okay, no problem.
The idea of why they shut down the economy had nothing to do with what may be the difference between the influenza A and B and C and the coronavirus. And the fact that because some of the other governments did not shut down their government, what they did was they made sure that while they were in lockdown, that the citizens were still being paid, which is an option that they didn't take here. They didn't do that. They decided that they were going to, do whatever it is that they called themselves doing. And I guess it put them at a disadvantage on that side. But if I'm clear from the idea of the scientific part, you're saying that there's flu and there's X amount of people who die from the flu and other things. And now we have the chrono, and we need to know from someone what is the breakdown and who's dying from what and who's being affected or infected by what. Is that a correct assessment of?
That is the central theme of the coronavirus presentation that I have brought to you. I wanted you to know that we are in a simultaneous viral infection phase. You're being hit by the flu virus according to the CDC, and you concurrently hit by the coronavirus. And the question, the way you phrase it, is what's happening?
Right.
That's the question. That's the question being phased. What's happening? Now, anybody could speculate. I have theories on the coincidence of the coronavirus with the economic status of the United States. And
Correct.
I'm not going to voice it.
Gotcha.
I, like you, everybody else, got their own theories and got their own thing, and I'm not voicing it because I can't prove it.
Correct. But you can prove what type of viruses hit us every year, how many viruses are around, and what are the protocols for the known viruses. You have told us that.
Right. The scientists, I gave you the reference where the scientists have done it to verify to the average person. Dr. Lewis said this. Dr. Lewis didn't say anything. I read you. The scientists around the world are telling you, you are being bombarded every day by millions of viruses. They say a 3 square area, that's a meter, 3 feet, 3 feet, 3. You stand there and you stand outside. Let's go to down any part of New York City polluted. They're saying you standing there, millions of viruses going to fall right in your area. And you're breathing, how many times we breathe a minute? About 15? About 15 breaths a minute? And you count the number of breaths a minute and count by the hour how many breaths you breathing in? You calculate how many hundreds and how many thousands of viruses you breathe in every day. So that's the theme here. The people have to understand this has happened. It's coming again. You're breathing all kinds of viruses. And the CDC, being the official government agency, is telling you simultaneously on their website that you have a double major viral infection. Now, that doesn't mean that when a person died, he may not have died of corona or the influenza. There's so many other viruses out there that they don't even know about or reported that knock you off. They're using influenza A, B, C, and D as a monitor. But who says that if you're breathing in 50 different types of viruses a day, which one killed you? That's what I'm saying.
That's good. Now let me ask you something, Doc, and wrap it up since Leroy hasn't come back.
No problem.
And that's in your final wrap up, what would be your most accurate, as you can, scientific opinion of what we should be looking for over the next weeks, other than the fact that there will be another virus there will be another, I heard you when you said there's pandemics all the time. So that this is coming again. And I guess your notion about immunity and protecting yourself is probably the best medical comments that you gave us. But going forward over the next, I don't know, few weeks, what should we be looking for?
Okay, for myself, I can only speak for myself. If I believe what I say and I practice, I'm gonna do everything that I know of to boost my immune system, whether it's a sleep and vitamin, blah, blah. That's how I'm gonna handle it. I don't care what name they put on it from the CDC. From this report and from my experience and for what we know about nature, you are breathing viruses every day. And we know that there's going to, every day in the Northern Hemisphere where we live, there's going to be a flare-up, a big flare-up. So one, we breathe in all types of viruses. We don't know the names of it. And if the virus kills you, basically you don't know which one killed you, no matter what test they're doing. You don't know which one killed you that day. So one, we breathing in virus every day. Two, you're going to survive it if your immune system is strong enough to do the war to it, regardless of what they call it. Viruses we breathe, your immune system is the key to keep you here and alive. Third, we know it's cyclical. It's coming again. Now, we don't know the next one that they monitor from October 2020 to the flu season to October 2020. We don't know what's going to happen. Whether it's a mild flu or whatever name you want to call it, that kills, according to the CDC, 30, or we don't know whether it's going to be a rip roarer and knock off 200,000 people. We just don't know. They don't know, I don't know. Nobody knows how the wind is, how the earth is, except they don't know. There are all kinds of theories on why it hits in the colder climate. So one, we breathe in viruses. Two, we don't know which virus we breathe in. Three, it's coming back in cycles. Boost your immune system. Prepare yourself economic for any future shutdowns.
Now, Doc, one other last part. So just to get some clarification for the people out there. So when you hear them on TV keeps talking about testing and contract and all this other, going to contact tracing and quarantine, which sounds a little ominous to me. Would you say that would fit into your analysis that, they're doing that because they're trying to figure out what's going on, and that's just a good, that philosophy could be as good as any?
The way I'm going to answer that question is the same way I answered it before. They don't know what's coming. They don't know how bad it could be or not could be. Now, if you want to judge how bad it is, and they say, well, if the numbers tested positive keep increasing, we're going to keep it shut down, right? So what if somebody said, stop testing? If you stop testing, then the numbers are going to go down. So in other words, if you want to open up the economy, all you have to do is suspend the testing. Right or wrong, I didn't say suspend, I said right or wrong, if you want the numbers to go down, stop testing and guarantee the numbers can go down, we can open up. What if somebody come up who run things in this country? What if they come up with that scenario? What if somebody else come up and say, no, we got to keep testing, we got to keep testing. The more you test, the more the numbers most likely going to go up, because just about everybody in the United States breathing the same air. And most of us in the United States, if you tested everybody in the United States, what number you think you're going to get? The number's going to increase. Right. And if the numbers keep increasing, you don't know if it's coronavirus, and you don't know if it's the flu, or you don't know if it's something they can't even detect. So to leave the issue the way I'm preparing myself, and my knowledge is this. One, I know what's happening now, that nobody can tell me different. I believe it. I experience in my life and my medicine, and these viruses are here to stay. They come in cycles. They've figured it out. Northern Hemisphere stuff, they're coming in cycles. The wave usually hits you from about 4 months, 5 months, a cold season. One, There are millions of viruses. 2, we're going to get another hit next year because every time you get a virus. 3, boost your immune system. 4, prepare for another lockdown. Prepare economically and your immune system for another lockdown. Will it come? Well, the president has been, the precedent, not president, the precedent has been put in place. That the structure could lock down the entire economy anytime a scientist or somebody say, oh, this thing is going to get real bad.
You're tuned in to GHCR,
Right? That's how
Grant Houses Community Radio. The
Hold on,
soul
Doc, we got
of
hold on.
the Upper West Side.
Hold on, Doc, we got station ID.
This is Stuart Reed for WHCR 90.3 FM in New York, broadcasting from the City College of New York with our COVID-19 coronavirus update. This report is provided by Harlem Emergency Network, WHCR's emergency broadcast team, Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer, and the New York City Mayor's Office. All non-essential businesses in New York City are to be closed. Only businesses with essential functions will be permitted to operate. Examples include grocery stores, pharmacies, internet providers, food delivery, banks, financial institutions, and mass transit. Businesses that provide essential services must implement rules that help facilitate social distancing. The NYPD will be out in neighborhoods across the city to ensure compliance with these policies. Mayor de Blasio warned city residents that there is still congestion in city parks and playgrounds, and that families should stay at least 6 feet apart from other families and individuals. The mayor is assessing resident compliance and will announce on Saturday whether it is necessary to close city parks and playgrounds. For all updates on park service changes and closures, go to nycgovparks.org. That's www.nycgovparks.org. The city is also considering closing at least 2 public streets per borough to vehicular traffic in order to allow more outdoor space with proper social distancing for families and individuals. Parking. Alternate side of the street parking rules remain suspended through Tuesday, March 31st, at which time the city will assess the need for street cleaning and temporary reinstatement of the rules. This is Stuart Reed for WHCR 90.3 FM, broadcasting from the City College of New York.
Now, hey, Dr. Lewis, first of all, I want to thank you for being so cool, calm, and collected as you went through a very interesting subject, which people have almost as little knowledge as much as they think they have a lot of knowledge. I think you're absolutely right. It's pretty clear to me that the administration has decided to act like it's not a big deal, and they're not interested in testing a lot of people. And I don't see how, I'm with you. I don't know what they're going to find out by testing other than people, like you said, people who have had it. So I'm thinking that what people should be even more diligent on following those steps that you came up with. And because we're here now, can you just repeat those 5 little steps that you say, because people need to get this drilled in their head, those steps that you mentioned that you're going to do.
Okay. The steps that I'm going to mention that I follow and I do when I consult with individuals, to my knowledge, from my experience, the literature and everything, how do you keep your body maximally healthy? How do you keep your immune system healthy? So if you're going to be able to fight off anything but in the next viral infection coming, and you know the vaccinations isn't going to do it, you know it's coming. Now we understand how the cycle works. It's coming. The next one, the flu season starting 10/20, October 10/20 to May 10/21, it's coming. Is it going to be mild? And they'll leave the economy alone? And like 2018, 2019, it will only kill 40,000 people. Or when it hits again, which it will hit, Will it be a whopper where it won't kill the normal 30 or 40,000 according to 2018 and 2018-19? It may be a whopper which takes out 250,000 US citizens.
Wow.
We don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Now, what we do know is it's coming, and you should prepare yourself economically the best way you can, and you can prepare yourself, your immune system, because I don't see anybody rushing to the pharmaceutical company. I don't see all these vaccines. So that's what I would see. That's how I see it. Now, how am I going to protect myself, immune system maximally? 5 things I mentioned. Your doctor can tell you others or not tell you others. Mental. Remember, the immune system is the entire body working in a coordinate thing. There's no such thing as your eye working different than your jaw. There's no such thing as, well, I got heart disease and I don't have kidney disease. No, it don't work that way. The body is totally interconnected electrically, magnetically, vibrational. So think holistically. The doctors here and here, they want you to think pieces of it. Oh, you got heart disease and don't worry about it, your diet. No, you got liver disease. No, you're going to either be healthy or not so healthy. It kind of works together. Okay. 1, mental. Mental is very important because if you have a lot of stress, economic, other stress, the biochemistry of it pushes your immune system down. Those cells in your body that need to protect you, and the chemicals, antibodies that need to be protected, you need you to be not under stress. So the more stress, the more immune system go down. Greater the chances you can't resist it. Number 2, sleep. You must get adequate sleep, whatever that is. I can't tell you sleep because it's too extensive. Adequate sleep. Why? Because one of the main mechanisms that sleep provides you is that when you go to sleep, your metabolism go into low mode, and it gives the body opportunity to detoxify, get all rid of them toxins that got into your body and that was made. You got to get rid of the toxins. And sleep helps the body do it. If not, you're not going to be healthy. 3 days without sleep is hallucination. Sleep is critical, good sleep. 3rd, nutrition. You need to eat an organic, means none of them pesticides, because pesticides break down your immune system. Organic means no pesticide, which is kind of hard to get in the United States when they're poisoning the food. So you're eating poison food if you don't eat, if you can't get organic. Make that clear. The food is poison by definition if you can't eat it organic. Okay, eat organic, plant-based diet. Plant-based diet, all the vegetables you know, greens, beans, eat all of the fruit that you can afford, eat your nuts and seeds, and eat your herbs. That is a good organic. The plants give you everything you need. The fruits give you most of what you need. Your nuts and seeds give you the oil and fiber you need. And the herbs, garlic, turmeric, ginger, blah, blah, blah. Those herbs have chemicals in it that kill off viruses in your bloodstream and help protect your cells. That's how important herbs are. So that's the nutritional part. If you're eating a meat-based diet, which is the majority of the people in the United States, you're eating a meat. Meat is contaminated with all kind of bacteria and virus. You always get E. coli, you get recall. So you eat the meat, which is only going to give you protein and fat. It doesn't give you all the other essentials for life. So you can't live off of meat. Okay, so you eat the meat. You're going to eat the viruses of the animal, the bacteria of the animal. You're going to eat the antibodies. You're going to eat the antibiotics that they feed the animal. You're going to eat the steroids they feed the animal. You're going to feed the estrogen, and you're going to feed the pesticide. So the meat basically, nutritionally, is poison. Not because I said it, but because of the way it is and they process it. See, meat industry don't like this. I'm not condemning. One thing is lacking in this society, whether it's medicine, anything, they don't give you the proper information. So the meat is going to weaken your immune system. The milk is going to, cow's milk, cheese and yogurt is going to weaken your immune system because they're getting the same thing as in meat. Processed foods are going to weaken your immune system and it's inflammatory. And the doctor's medicine, you know the side effect that kill 250,000 people. So people who are on a meat-based diet with milk and cheese and eggs, who are eating processed foods and taking doctor's medicine, you're the ones who have the weakest immune system, the weakest health. You're the one most susceptible, especially if you're obese. Because if you're obese, your body is holding that much greater toxins than if you're not. Why? Obese, what is he talking about? The more obese you are, the more fat you have stored. Pesticides and toxins dissolve in fat. So when you lean, you're healthier. That's how you keep your immune system strong. Understand, air is polluted, get an air filter in your house. Water is polluted, put a water filter into your house if you can afford it. At the sink or when it comes in. And food, you know that once when you are eating a meat-based diet, meat, milk, processed food, doctor's medicine, you are inflamed and your immune system is down. That's how you have to protect yourself. Economically, you know the virus is coming, prepare for another lockdown. Whatever that means. I didn't say it, but I have a right as a human being and citizen to just speculate and talk, to give you the information. Any information I give you is useful.
Wow, beautiful. Now, hey, Esther's back on. Esther, do you have any closing questions for Dr. Lewis?
No, I don't think so. I was going to ask about the herbs.
Let me mention the herbs if
I wanted to say this. For those who can't give up meat, and you can let me know what you think of this, Dr. Lewis. Just take a little sliver of it. You don't have to eat 2 pork chops. You shouldn't eat any. But if you have chicken, you know, a lot of times our grandparents and other folks, they would just put a little sauce in your rice or your potatoes, and you'll get a feeling. You start feeling like you're eating meat.
Yeah.
So I think that our taste buds really play a lot of, you know, they really, it's a habit forming kind of thing. So my thing is just 2 little slivers of chicken and nothing else, just your vegetables. What do you think of that?
I would emphasize to you 100%. A person doesn't have to become a vegan. A vegan means you only eat vegetables. And many vegans don't know how to do it, but you only eat vegetables. We've been brought up on meat. I've been brought up on meat. I'm not a vegan, meaning that I will eat meat. But on average, I'm saying to you this. On average, when you eat, try to make what's in your plate the higher percentage of what you eat that is vegetable, the better you're off. So in other words, if, like Dr. Hyatt has said, there's nothing wrong if you had a little piece of chicken. There's nothing wrong if you had a little piece of pizza every now and then. But she's right. Make sure the majority, that's the way I handle it. When people say you vegan, I said, no, I eat meat. How much meat? In my diet on a weekly basis, less than 5% of what I put in my body has any meat in it. Somebody say, you shouldn't have eaten the 5. That's probably true. But overwhelmingly, if you're going to take the meat, eat it very small. I'll give you a quick thing. When I was living in the South Bronx, as many people in the United States, poor, I had meat once a week. One of 7 or 8 children. Little piece of chicken. We were all vegetarian. Most of Americans 45, 50 years ago were basically vegetarians because there was very little meat. A little bit of ham there, a little bit of chicken, and you only got it rare. So most of the Americans in this country, before 1944, 40s, were basically vegetarian. You ate most of your diet was overwhelmingly plants and a little bit of meat here and there. They flipped the screen or the thing on you. Most of the diet now is a meat-based diet, and you barely can find any vegetables. But before they start spraying in the late 70s, all of the food was organic. Let me repeat, generally, before they start putting pesticides on the food, whether it was in the 70s or the 80s. Almost everything we ate was organic. Everything we eat now is poison. So they flip it. We ate almost all vegetables and little meat. Now everybody's eating all meat or little. That is one of the nutritional root causes of the obesity with the heart disease and everything else that go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So do the best you can. Remember, strengthen your immune system, stress reduction, plenty of sleep, the good organic food, and exercise is critical.
Right.
In order to circulate the blood,
yeah.
In order to get rid of the toxins, you must exercise. You can't be sedentary. So what it is lifestyle. This is what happened. Now that you got an education, doesn't mean that you weren't educated, but now that you've gotten information to add to your education, there are three things you have to do, in my opinion. You get yourself educated. Now we say, look, we're educating ourselves about certain things. We have to know what you have to do. You say, we're gonna eat meat, but little, we're gonna do this. Now that you made the changes, you educate yourself and you say, I think this is the best way to go now. The second thing you must do is make the change. Don't say that we know meat will hurt you or we will hurt you and you continue to eat it in large quantity. And the third thing is you must time. So the person asked me, how do you want to lose weight? So I said, this is the way you lose weight. You eat mainly vegetables, you eat very little carbohydrates, and the body will burn it. And then the weight will come off. So you learn that in order to lose weight, you gotta eat mainly plants. You will lose weight if you eat primarily plants, because most plants, a vegetable diet doesn't have enough carbohydrates per day, and the body will burn the fat. So you can lose that weight. Then you must say, if I want to stay lean, it's got to be a lifestyle change. I'm going to be more vegetables. And then you do it to how long you want to be lean is how long you want to do it. Okay, it's time. People have to educate, lifestyle change, and live it. Educate, lifestyle change, live it. To leave you on this, the next one is coming. It's going to come in October, and it's going to end in, and we don't know if it's going to be mild, to where the government doesn't bother you and just let the normal 40,000 people die and the normal tens of millions get the cold and over it. That's how we've been living. But for some reason, it hit and somebody decided, let's shut it down. So you know a virus is coming. You know you have to be prepared for it. And the best way to protect yourself is your lifestyle that we discuss on your immune system. And the third way, prepare economically the best way you can for another shutdown.
All right. Hey, Dr. Lewis?
Yes.
Unless Esther has another question, I want to thank you.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, I want to thank you for a very well-rounded lecture, and we hope that we can get you to come back again, hopefully before the next one hits, and and come in and give us some more knowledge, because I would like to get you to come back next time and talk a little bit about the whole idea that somehow people think it's a good idea to go around eating animals. I mean, it actually, when you think about it, it seems a little disingenuous that we're going around eating animals. I mean, it doesn't actually. I'm glad to hear what you said about the vegetarian part of it and how people the less meat eating part of it, because it is a little quite disconcerting to me that we're eating the animals. But on behalf of Brother Leroy, on behalf of Dr. Hyatt, I want to say thank you and God bless you and your family and your many grandkids and your children. And man, when I'm 76, I want to be just like you and be as energetic and enthusiastic as you are about the things that are going around me. So I want to say thank you so much for being a part of this, and we will send you the whole lecture over YouTube. And Dr. Hyatt, I want to thank you and for being a part of it and setting all the stuff up. So with that,
I would like to thank again all of you at the organization and your for giving me the opportunity to speak with you.
It's our pleasure,
Okay.
and that's why they brought us here.
Okay.
Okay, man. So take care, and we'll see you next. And remember, everybody out there, if you tune into the show next time, just like today, you just might learn something. All right. Good night. Thanks, Doc.
Same to you. Bye-bye.
Okay, talk to you later.
Same to you. Bye-bye. Next one is coming. We don't know what.